Well, today is Monday, December 18th, 2017, and it is 3:16 p.m., which makes it what? Makes it 15:16 p.m. So, not too bad of a day as far as cold. What is it out here? Actually, I've been up since 8 o'clock this morning. I just had a chance to get into the shop. We're 42 degrees outside Fahrenheit, 59 degrees in here, and we're stable at 12.6 volts. So that's where we're at. Now, like I said, I've been busy all morning. Went and had coffee with the guys and then get out of there. Got there about 10, didn't get out of there until about 1. By the time I got home, it was like 1:30 or so. And I gotta get gas, crap like that. But meanwhile, this is kind of what we're looking at so far. Now, they're not in place, naturally. I just have them on the shelving. But this will be the top shelf, which will be the furthest one back from me. Then this will be the next shelf. And then there's another shelf. Alright, and like I say, those are going to go into that tray that I made. And they're going to be 1, 2, 3. So that's where I'm at so far. Come over here and get this done. It's a nice day out there today. I think I've already told you. I may not have.
Yeah, I have a little bit of right.
This is the Victory Net. They're on every morning. They come on about 11 o'clock in the morning. You check in, you talk, you hang out, you have a good time. But that's the frequency. If you have a shortwave radio, you can listen to it. But that's that. So meanwhile, what is it today? I've already said it once, I believe. I got a lot of noise going on in the background today for some reason. It's just driving me nuts. Today is December 19th, which is a Tuesday. It is now 12:24 p.m. and it's 2017. My voltage is hanging in at 12.9 volts and it's 55 degrees outside, 71 inside. And that's Fahrenheit, by the way. So that's where we're at today. Alright, well, I have the first set of holes drilled. Now, the size of the hole I can make bigger. It's not a big deal at this point. I really don't want to make it much bigger because the plywood that I'm using for the shelving is not that thick. Alright, so now it's time to wire. Now, this is where it's going to tie into the van. This ties right in off the battery using a number 4 gauge, and it's probably about 8 feet long coming from the battery. By the time you snake it in and stake it around, that's about what it is. So that comes into a 4 gauge, which comes up underneath the passenger seat and is also attached to a small fuse box where there's a few other little things tied into it there. My truck is a wiring nightmare. For anybody that looked at it, they wouldn't have no idea unless they were somewhat familiar with what was there. But I always keep red and black as red and black. So meanwhile, what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to put connectors on the back of all the ground wires that are going into the radios here, and on the back side, push it through here, put a lock nut on it with a washer and such, and then I'll put a wing nut on it as well so I can attach some grounds to the outside if in fact I have to. Now I do have to attach the ground to the chassis from here, so that's what I'm looking at doing now. I can't use that plug. It's just not heavy enough for me to use that. I'd like to have used it, but it's not heavy enough. And I don't think I have anything else laying around. I probably do, to be honest with you. I just don't know where the hell it would be. You know, it's one of those things to where you start getting so much crap hanging around that you actually forget how much crap you have. Now, oh, this may be. So what I'm thinking of doing is just putting a heavy duty because anything that's going into there is not going to be looking for a lot, but all in all it would be looking for. So this would probably suffice. And as you can see, I probably used one before, but I want to make sure that the one I'm using now is definitely heavy. Now I don't need one that long. This is more than long enough. Actually, that's even too long. See, if I go too short, then the wire's too small. I definitely need the heavier wire. So let me put these back up here. So this is what I'm going to use. There. Lights. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the short end. I'll cut it shorter on this end because it's going to be attached to this. And I don't want a lot of wire hanging off it, so I'll cut this off short. The other end, the end that's going to be tied into the battery all the time, I don't want that end on it because that is exposed. So if it hits something, it's going to short out because this is going to be coming off of the vehicle battery. So I want to put this end on it because on this end, the hot side is covered. So this is the end that's going to go in the vehicle. Now once I get this cut, I'll show you one more time. Okay, so who used to say that? Something about the fat guy, fat man. So I forgot who the hell it was. Anyhow, I'm wiring up, and this is part of the
Maritime Mobile Service Set, taking general check-ins. All are welcome.
Let me turn him down a minute. That's a maritime check-in. I think he's in Missouri. But anyway, the wiring is part of the, actually it's the most important part of the whole thing. Because if you don't have it wired right, you can have problems. And if you don't kind of keep things neat, it's going to drive you nuts. So that's what I'm thinking about doing anyway. So now I'm just wire tying in, putting strain reliefs on everything, and getting ready to hook up. The grounds coming off the radio, meaning the hot and ground, are going to go, even though they end up in the same place, they're going to go to a separate ground than the so-called chassis ground. Now they all end up in the same place, but I just rather have two separate hookups down there. It's just the way I like it to be. You know, and I don't know. That's just me. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put another hole back there. I have to put a stud in that one. That's going to be a ground. I'm going to put a stud in the other one, which will be a ground. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then I have to put a hole so I can feed the hot lines through the case. And then I have to make sure I insulate it so that the wires don't rub against the metal case and short out, because they will be the hot wires. By the way, guys, I don't know if you can see it, but can you see that? It actually gave a nice little texture on that. I primed it with just regular black, you know, Rust-Oleum, that 2X paint stuff, and that's what I basically used. I didn't actually use a primer, but I used that. Multiple thin coats, and then I sprayed that plastic dip on it because I wanted to see how it was going to work. And actually, it's a little rubbery feeling, but it left that nice little pattern on it, and I kind of like that. All right, so this is going to be the hole where the power is going to come out from to plug into this. Now, I could have very easily just put this on the inside. However, every time I blow a fuse, I got to try to find out where the hell it is, because all the radios are going to be slid in there. So it's easier to have it on the outside here, because at this particular location, it's going to be at a spot to where I can easily get to it and see it. So that's why I put it here rather than having it inside. This is going to be the hole where the power lines, the red lines, are going to come out of to plug into this. So what I did was I took a piece of this clear tubing, and I'll tell you what, this comes in handy. Handy to have around. You don't know how many times I use that stuff. So I put that in there, as you can see. I cut it and sliced one half open and slid it over the rim. Now I'm going to mix up just a little bit of epoxy, and to ensure that it's going to stay there. For now, let me just put that there. And at that point, that is done. So that's where we're at so far. Yeah, here's where we're at so far. Now this will be sitting in the truck down. So right now it's a lot higher to me than it would be if it was in the truck. But that's kind of where we're at so far. So this is all metal. The chassis are grounded, and the hot and power lines are both power. Positive and negative sides are grounded. And at that point, we got a fuse box back there. What I got to do is put a couple of strain reliefs on just to hold these wires here. There are strain reliefs inside so that they can't pull out of the radio, but I do want to have a couple here just so they don't have a chance of getting pulled out from there. These are extra grounding bars just in case I need them. I'm almost done with this. I was hoping today was going to be as nice as it was yesterday, so I can go out and work on this and be in some type of comfort instead of freezing my buns off, because I do have to work from outside the truck when I put this in, and sometimes the wires tend to get a little difficult if they're cold. They want to go where they want to go and not where you want to go from this. This is basically done, but I am thinking of ordering 2 more radios while it's out, and I see that I have room for them. You know, I don't want to have any extra space, and I do want to put the switches in here, the switches that I received from Ron, the Wally World 66. Right. Those switches, Ron, I'm telling you, you can't believe how useful they are. Because I use a lot of switches. So far, I've got one up there for my interior lights, are under here, these lights. I've got switches on the little spray booth I made. I got switches. There's a couple on that little bench down there. They're all over the place. I use them. I really do. Those are going to be a handy little thing to have around. So, what I was going to do is I want to make another bank of switches. I want to have all my switches the same. And I was going to use the switches I got from Ron to do that with. So I was going to put some radios in here, and I was going to take that piece of metal that's around here someplace, that big piece, and kind of put it up here, cut it on an angle, and have my switches there. But see, that's getting too close to this stuff, and I have to be able to get to these switches up here. So that's not going to work. So I was going to put them down here. All right. And they kind of fit there. That doesn't look too bad. The only thing is I have to make another piece, because this won't hold the 5 switches. And I want it to hold the 5. Because here is a blue light, a blue light, a blue light, a white light, and a red light. And that's where I'm at with that. So, let's turn these lights off. We don't need those on right now. So I want to take care of some of that. So that's going to be, what am I going to do next? So, I got to find something. I like to find a piece of metal around here, I'm sure I have, that's going to be thin enough for me to use my nibbler. Now, the electric nibbler will do a lot more than the hand nibbler. But, not the electric, the air nibbler. But the air nibbler makes a lot of, it throws shit all over the place. And sometimes it's tough to get into spots. The hand nibbler is just so much easier to use and easier to control, let's put it that way. But I got to find something, because the hand nibbler will not cut. I know I'm walking around in circles here. The hand nibbler will not cut through this. This would break it. This is a little too heavy for it. Anyway, I think it is. And if it isn't, by the time I'm done with it, it would be. So that's what, oh, you know what I can use? I didn't think of it. I can use a piece of Kydex. Why didn't I think of that? See, talking to you guys, it helps. Now, do you know where I put the Kydex, guys? Wait a minute, we're getting there. What's this down here? Kydex. There's a piece. I can use this piece. Well, this isn't Kydex. This is ABS. But it'll work. Oh, the floor gets further and further away. Hi, Lance. You're okay, buddy? Can you see this? No. Alright. This little solder removal tool also comes in handy as this little heat gun for little things like this Kydex, for instance. See if I don't burn down the building first. I see smoke coming. The smoke is because I'm hitting the wood a little bit. There we go. Okay. Alright, now put it back in the holder. And it'll cool down and then shut off. That's what it's doing now. And you don't want to put its holder someplace where it's going to start a fire. Alright, so that's done. I was supposed to get a new battery today, but I didn't feel like leaving the house. I didn't feel like going anywhere. Okay, so that's going to slide in to that bracket that I was showing you before. Let me get the wife's computer out of the way for a minute. So this is basically going to get bolted onto that.
Could increase, making tomorrow uncertain. But in
Okay.
medicine, it was proven in the largest heart failure study ever to help more people stay alive and out of the hospital than a leading heart failure medicine. Women who are pregnant must not take Entresto. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with a name.
You've got an instant serving tray. Perfect for parties, picnic, backyard barbecue. And if you love those eggs and brownie bonanza bakes each piece separately. Remember, my s'mores brownies are chewy outside and gooey inside. Stuff them, stack them, or frost them. It's truly a brownie bonanza. And thanks to Red Copper non-stick ceramic, your brownies never stick, so you never scrub. Try cheesecakes, red velvet, or burrito brownies.
And the more I look at this, the more this side is crooked. I wonder if I cut that crooked.
But don't stop there. Layer pie crust, fill it.
Oh, we'll find out in a minute now, won't we? Luckily I have enough here to use. If I have to, I can. And this goes right over this piece. There we go. Perfect. And it wasn't cut crooked. There we go. Alright, so that takes care of that. So, we'll bolt that end to there, and end to there, and I could probably do that without any issues. So, next is the switch. I'm going to use this to make the template. Alright, so now these switches and this I will just put over here for now. So I need at least 5, I think I got 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have room. So I need 6 of these. 2, 4, 6. Hey, Tuck. Alright, now, which way do I want to do this?
Where you're at, you only see exactly what you're listening to up here. You also notice there's a R and T.
Let me find my nibbler tool.
If I actually put the radio in split.
That's what I did with it. I threw it out. Fool. Now this is just a little too thick for this. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it doesn't want to get in there. No, I can't get it in enough to cut it, so I can't use the nibbler. So, it's time to use the milling machine. The milling machine? Oh, there's the switches. 6. That seems to work okay. However, there is a however. However, you still have to know how to use it. No, it seems to work fine. The only problem I see that I had with it is that I didn't have this piece of ABS plastic snugged in enough. So as I was cutting, it wanted to travel a little bit. So I don't know if you can notice it or not, but 3 of these switches are a little bit lower than the other 3. And there's a little bit difference on the spacing right here on those 2. But by the time I actually noticed it, I've already been into it. I said, you know what, it's going in the truck. It looks good enough. I'm not going to worry about it. It's not like, you know, I'm giving it to somebody or anything, so it doesn't have to be perfect. The switches work. That's all that counts. And that's what's going to happen. So that's where we're at with that.